Hi, it's Nancy, welcoming you to Gardens Grow. Today is April the 9th, and I'm going to try again to see what I can get done. And I noticed when I looked over the fence, a pretty little iris bloom. And I think I'm going to begin by taking out this rose that's growing here. I'm pretty sure it's just a little piece of this one that started itself from the root. And I know you can barely see the rose in there for all the honeysuckle. I probably need to take some of this out, but as long as it's growing upward and not down, like these are trying to reach downward, not good, I'll definitely need to take those out of there. But I'm going to try to get this out right now. So I clipped the rose out along with a few of the little honeysuckle vine that was dropping down, trying to reach the ground and go again. And I may end up losing a little bit of my catnip where I sprayed the rose, but I think it will grow back, and actually I may not lose it. I did just spray just right at the root of that rose, so hopefully it'll look great. I think this is pretty when it has little tiny blue blooms just about the same color as this pole that this little birdhouse is on. And now I'm thinking if I tackle this, and I do want to get this done, I may need to put a little bit more gravel under here and maybe steady this just a little more. It's tilting toward the back there behind the little lion and over toward this little pot here. You can see that one leg of the little pot, the thing that it's sitting on anyway. I can't think of my words this morning, but I need to get that evened up, and then I want to fill up this strawberry pot with lipstick pink impatiens plant stand. See how simple that was? Okay, I'll see how long that will last. And my next job is I'm going to take the dirt out of this. I'm going to wet it down and just get to be a muddy mess here, of course, but I want to get it down to where the soil is, where it's empty of soil, all the way down to here where I can start filling these up with impatiens. This is a strawberry pot. It has 12 little holes, so I'll have 12 plants here, and then I usually put 3 little plants inside here. Sometimes I put 4 just in case one of these gets taken out by a snail. I can replace the extra one in the slot that is empty. This is slightly easier than it was the first time I did it. You can tell there's weed control fabric here, which also helps to anchor the little plant in. And I've got them around the bottom parts of it now. And after I put them in there, I put these garden staples. I use these for so many things. I can't even think of it at the time, but when I use it, I'm so grateful that I have it. Poke this little root back in a little bit better, but you can tell this little staple, I've got it about halfway in the soil, and the other half is holding this little plant up so that it has less of a chance of just falling out of there when I water it. And then it'll get its root in and it'll anchor it in still more. But just wrap it inside with fabric control paper. Take a sharp blade, like a box knife, and just cut you a little X inside it. Put your little plant inside, and if you're like me and you need one of these, this is from last year too, and these last a good long while in the garden. They will, let me get over here where I can show you this one, but see how they'll go ahead and rust and break off, so you'll have to throw those away, of course, but they do last a long time, and they're definitely a great aid in the garden for many things. So there she is. It almost looks like this little angel has a glow about her, as if she tried on a new outfit and it fit nicely. So she's ready to grow. And these do look so good in a strawberry pot. They just fill out, hang down, and just be gorgeous if the snails or something like that doesn't get in there and get them out for you. But hopefully that won't happen. And she'll be very pretty. My friend Susie said that hers was hard to get out in the early fall last year, and so you might want to do like she did and take it out, because it looks pretty unsightly. But I usually always just leave mine and let the frost take it out, dry it up, and then I just have to either pull it out or just kind of rake it off and start over again. Now, as these were sitting down here, I thought, you know what, those look so good together. I wonder if I could put those somewhere together. So I'm going to look and see what I can do with this. I've been planting today in the mist and in between the mist, and I'm going to show you what I did if it doesn't rain us out. But I planted this little tomato. I planted this little purple heather in this turquoise pot. I've been doing that for several years now. I like the way the colors play off of each other. And this is where I put those two that I showed you that I think are going to look so pretty together. I think they're going to pick up each other's color and play pretty there too, but you can't really tell it so much right now that they're wet. But hopefully I'll get to come out and show them to you when they're all just in flower and looking great. And I thought last year I had this with some coleus, which was pretty, but it covered up my little squirrels before very long. So I like for them to show, but I like for the plant to reach up close to them. So maybe that will work for this. And while I'm this close to it, I'll show you the snowball bush, because it has lots of little snowballs on it. Won't be too long before they'll be turning white. There's many more pots not planted than there are planted, but I still feel good about the work I got done today. This little pot got some of the purslane moss. I was trying to say rose moss, but I knew that wasn't right. So, and I kept the little tag so I could show you the one that I got, because it's just so pretty. It's one of the two-tone ones that looks like this. It has the pink and the yellow double purslane moss. I put little clippings in some of my really small pots. Move some aside here so you can see there's one there in the center of that one. And there's some in this little pot. Oh, I see, I missed this one. I still want to do something with this pot. I'm not quite sure which sedum I might want to put in here yet though. And I did bring some of my other pots out where I had them in storage, just these little tiny ones. I had brought them out, I think yesterday, but I put some little clippings in these also. This one is, I think it's some of that same purslane moss, and then the one over here is one of the sedum. And I put rose moss in these little pots. As well as these little pots. In these three little pots. And I put clippings in this little pot, and there's some alyssum. I think it might might be purple, but it may be white. But either way, it'll be pretty. I hope it's purple though. But it was already coming up in here, little volunteers from seed from last year. And then I put all these other little sedum clippings in, and I think it's going to look great and not need so much watering. So I did it. I got the whole, this side of where the fence is, all in sedum this year. And this little pot right here also did it up in sedum clippings. So that's free plants, and I think they will go ahead and put little roots down and be pretty for years to come, hopefully. And I knew these little iris were going to bloom soon, but they kind of all bloomed at once, which is great. So I'm going to go inside. I may take a look at my seed, and I may come back out and plant a few, because I would love to plant many and have them ready for the rains. And we're supposed to get rain tonight, and it was just misty today, and actually last night we got just a little bit, but it was just enough to lift that little floater up, but not raise it up to where it would read a mark. So, but hopefully we will get some good rains tonight. But also I'm getting tired, and so I'm thinking that I may just stay in, but if I can get just a little bit of rest and then come back out again, that's probably what I prefer to do, but we'll see how that goes. It's cool out this morning, and we got some rain. I'll have to go around and see how much. And last night I did not come back out and plant my seeds. I know I should have, but I got busy fixing pork chops and turnips. I guess not everybody likes turnips, but my husband and I both like them with a little sweetener and butter after they're soft. They're just really good to us. So, but I was thinking, I wish I would have divided this little hosta when it was small. It's going to be hard to divide now, probably just tear it up, so I may wait till next spring, but I would like to divide this and get it in another place, possibly in this little pot right behind, well, the one with the butterfly in it. There. I may put a different hosta in there. I'm not sure what I'll do, but I think that one would really look pretty there. Looks pretty here too. And then this one is big and beautiful, looking great this morning. And just once they take off, they just have really gone. So far this has been a great spring for us. We got the earliest start that I've ever gotten on getting the garden cleaned out and getting other stuff going at the same time. Well, maybe not at the same time, but at least, you know, there's things that I always don't have cleaned out or don't have something planted in when some of my spring bushes bloom. But this year I did on several of them, so I felt good about that. How lovely this little pot of sedum looks this morning after the rain. So we did not get as much as I thought we may have. It looks like only a ½ inch. But still, it was a good little rain, and it was, you can tell the garden really loved it. It's all perked up this morning and looking fresh and beautiful. And hopefully we'll get some more spring rains, and maybe the next time I will have my seeds in the ground and ready to be watered in and go. I noticed the ironweed that I took the time last fall to replant or to transplant from one place to another did not come up. So I guess it didn't have its root established well enough, or maybe it was too dry in this little pot, but I bet it just didn't have its root established well enough. So there is some more coming up where I don't want it, so I'll try again to see if I can get it started in the pots. And I divided this little salvia. It's a rose-colored salvia, and it was just all growing on one side, which was very pretty, but I think it'll fill itself out now that I've got some on both sides, and just fill the whole pot out. And of course, it's a perennial. It'll come back hopefully in the pot. It has been doing, so I think this is going to work well for me and look good too. And I'm anxious to get some of these little pots, most of them actually, but I do have inside plants, and today is the day that I need to check on all of those and water any that need watering. So I'll be inside a great part of today, but some of these that I've got setting here will be replaced by my house plants that I bring out because they simply do better for me outside than inside. I'm not a very good house plant person, but this way I can just get these little pots. I don't have to necessarily put anything in them, although I probably will plant seeds or put some little pieces of, well, clippings of other plants in here and get them ready for this September when I bring my houseplants back inside, and I'll have something to put in the bare spot that leaves. And I just noticed that it's looking like my little dianthus is going to be blooming soon. Got some pretty little fat buds there. And it looks like I need to divide this or just cut some off the side of it, and I might see if my daughter would like this peony because it's kind of getting out in my little pathway there, and I think I would like to just kind of take some of it off, and I think she would like to have that. It's a very pretty peony. And this is another of the same type of peony. It's a bright wine color with a little tuft of kind of maize looking color, golden soft color, yellow. Very pretty. I planted this yesterday. I've never had one, but I've been kind of hearing about them. It's an artichoke, but it grows very tall in the sun, and it has a beautiful looking in the catalogs anyway. I don't suppose I've ever actually seen one, but a big purple bloom or lavender bloom at the top of it. So I wanted to just kind of give that a try. It's a pretty little green foliage all on its own without the bloom. Of course the bloom is what I was going for though. The honeysuckle is blooming this morning too. So I am watering my inside plants now, and this little plant, I don't know what the name of it is, but I'm just calling it my fairy plant because it looks like it should go in a fairy garden. So, it looks like it's dead also, but look, there's a little seed there. So I'm planting those right now and hoping that I get them to come up. Today is April the 14th. And I came home from church with still some energy. Usually I can't wait to get home. I don't want to go out and eat. I don't want to do anything but come home because I'm so tired. And then I usually eat something and get the fade out. So I don't know. But today I didn't do that, and it felt good. So I came outside and started planting seeds. I'm fixing to plant some in this little strawberry pyramid where my pansies are coming up still. I planted these last fall, and we didn't have a really bad winter. They looked a little scraggly, but they're looking pretty good right now. But they won't last a whole long time. I do have some seed. I figured I would have some of these marigolds come up, and sure enough, they are coming up. But I'm going to plant a few other seeds in here just right now. It's maybe a little bit early because it's not so terribly hot, but except for today was 90 and 91 degrees. I can hardly believe it, but it's not going to stay that way. It's going to get cool, at least at night, go back down. I think all this week it's supposed to be in the 50s, but next week it'll go back down into the 40s at night. But I think maybe it'll have a chance to get its little seed going or ready to go in the period while it's nice and warm. So I'm thinking that some of these pretty little, I've heard these called ghost dianthus, and I like that name, but here it's called fringed pink rainbow loveliness. So I'm going to plant some of those, some forget-me-nots, and some snowball feverfew in that little strawberry pyramid, probably along with some profusion zinnia seed. My first peony to bloom. I thought sure it would be this one, and it's not far behind. And I was so proud that I got this little pot all fixed up, and then I remembered, oh wait, I was going to put my dachshund in here because it's just about the only tall place that I have. I can put it where it can grow down. So I probably will end up changing this one if I can't fit my dichondra right in there with it. I did divide this little peony, and my husband came out right when I was starting to shovel it out, and he said, let me do that for you. So that was easy, and then for me, and then I think I'm going to see if my daughter wants this, the little half of it that I cut off. This is very pretty. I just didn't want it that far out in my little pathway. I planted some little seeds right here in this pot too, some of the annual phlox, and I hope it comes up and blooms and just looks beautiful. But right now it's I did several pots actually, but there's not much need of me going around and showing them to you because they all look like just wet dirt. But you know, one day we'll have a pleasant little surprise, hopefully, if they sprout and bloom. This little rose had just a few open last night when I watered, and now today there's so many open and it looks great. I love this color. I'm going to see if I can get some close-ups of it because it's so pretty. These are the paler ones, and let me find some that are just brighter and more beautiful, or maybe not more beautiful, just a different shade of beauty. And then of course they all bloom together. More clematis bloom. I was so grateful that our peonies hadn't opened yet when we had those strong winds, and I saw it blow this little clematis bloom around and around, but it held on. It had built up its strength enough to do that, and it's still looking gorgeous today. And also, while I'm here, let me show you, I did buy another rose. I lost the pink one, and then I found this pink one at our local Walmart. So pretty. And while I'm here close, this one doesn't look like much now, but this is a rose. My husband planted this for me. It's called Pop Art, and it has swirls of pink and yellow. I think it's going to be gorgeous. I also purchased a butterfly bush. I've been wanting one. I used to have a white one here, but it died, and I've tried them several times, and they've died out over the winter for me. So this is not a real tall one. They say the shorter ones last better, have more of a hardiness, so I'm hoping that will be the case and that it will keep coming back for me. And I tried to start some bougainvillea in this little, I don't know if you can tell that it's a butterfly with a little pot in the middle of it, and I just thought that would be so pretty there, but you can tell that wind has gotten this, and I'll have to try this again. And this beautiful little perennial alyssum is totally outgrowing this tiny little pot. So I'm planning on dividing this and putting it in some other places. And I just love it. It's so pretty. It won't stay that way long. It'll just be a little blue-green color foliage there before long. But for right now, we can just enjoy this beautiful yellow gold. I ordered some more hosta, and I had a hard time picking because I had, I don't know, 12 or 15 picked out, but I had to cull them out some, so I can't even really remember right now which ones I did order, but I have the little printout, so I'm hoping that I get the ones I ordered and that maybe I even get a chance to order the others another time. But they're all beautiful to me, and I love the fact that they come back for me every year, even in these little pots. I took a start off of this one, and it's already bigger than it was when I took the start. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get one here, but there is a little nub right there, a little green nub, and it could possibly take off and go. That's my hope. And when I was looking at this one to see now how many do I need to fill up these back pots, I just saw a tiny little piece right here, but you can tell this one has come up to more than just a tiny little piece, even though it's still very small. Maybe it will keep going and fill this, at least the front part of this little pot up. And I've been thinking about trying this again, so I cut the end of this little watering can off a bit, and I tied this up with some string so I could poke it in that hole, and then I put its root down inside here. The time I tried it before, I just put it inside the end of it and it didn't last, so this may not either, but I'm hoping it will. It just looks pretty good to me, and of course I'll fill this up with a pretty flower. I'm thinking a dragon wing begonia, but I'll have to wait and see what I get to go there. And this is just a little ponytail grass that mine and my friend Glenda's friend Sherry gave to me. It's April the 15th, and this little peony, all the buds are opened up today. And this one also opened up quite a bit. Not all of its buds are, but a lot of them are. This is such a pretty peony. The Baptisia or false indigo is blooming. And this little clematis is trying to open up. Today is the 17th, and I did go ahead and put a dragon wing begonia in this little pot, and I think it already looks good and will continue to look even better as it grows. And now my plan is to put these two little plants in that pot I was telling you that I forgot to put them in it. This will hang down and keep going all the way to the ground and be so pretty. And I love these two plants together so they can play off of each other's color or match. They're such a pretty matching little plant. Okay, I'm much better satisfied with it now. I left the pretty little bacopa over here, and I hope it does well here. And I put that dichandra right here. It's already beginning to try to trail. It will come right on down all the way to the ground by fall. I think it always does. And then I put the little Dusty Miller right back here. I may have to put another one over here, but we'll see. I'm going to kind of leave it like this for a little bit and see if that will be enough to draw these two plants together. You know, like if you put on an outfit and it has just a tiny little dot or something of yellow in it, but you put on some yellow shoes and all of a sudden that little dot stands out. So I'm hoping that's what will happen with this little Dusty Miller right here and this little Dachandra, and I think it will, because they always have in the past. I love these two plants together because they just play with each other so good, so well. And while I'm out here, I've got to take a few pictures and just look at this pretty bright blue columbine growing in this pot. And I had my husband to bring this around, help me bring this around. And I've got to redo this little stand. It's leaning forward. I did this once to put this rebar here, but I've got to do it better, because when I get the pots on them, they're just heavy enough to pull it right back over. So I'm going to redo some of this. I may have to wait until it rains so my ground will be soft enough that I can work here to get it anchored back in. And then I'll show you what we're going to do, how we're going to fix this little pot. Of course, I'm going to put impatiens in it. And this one I like a little better. It's a newer pot, and it has the little lip, which I won't have to use the little garden staples to anchor it in until it gets its roots established enough that it won't fall out. Actually, I just leave a little garden now I forgot the words, garden staple. I just leave that little garden staple in the other one. And then it'll be there ready for me to use for next year. But these, I don't think they'll even need that. I had zinnias in here, the profusion zinnias last year, but I wasn't very impressed with them. They were pretty, but they just didn't fill it out and give it that lush look that impatiens do. This lovely honeysuckle Major Wheeler is really looking great this morning, shining in its beautiful color. And the pink lodula bush is looking great. And I have a red one just right over here, but it's not blooming fully yet. I lost both of these to our that time that it went down below freezing and stayed there for several days. In the spring they had already started, so they just went away, except that the root, and they've come back from the root. And this one has been looking great for a couple or maybe even 3 years since then, but this one has never really bloomed that much, but it's going to this year, I think. You can see all these pretty red buds on here, and they will be opened soon. But our little bridal spirea is turning to green. All this pretty white will soon be gone. And this is the look from my kitchen window. And I don't know if I'm getting it very well for you, but from the window you can actually see these beautiful pennies, and also, of course, the bushes there in the background, and the pretty roses are beginning to open up too. Let me just go up there and get a little bit closer, but you can tell that they're beginning to, even from the kitchen window. Looking great. I am going to have to spray for those little green with black dot cucumber beetles. I hate those things. I only saw one, but like I've told you before, I've read and I believe it. If you have one, you have a problem. So that's the way it is, I'm sure. But it's just so pretty to look out the window and see all this beauty. You know, you can't see it as well as you can when you get right up to it like this, but you can see it enough that it's intriguing, and you know that there's some beauty out there and that you want to go out and see it. It's hot today, but we're supposed to have another cold front, which actually that's fine with me, because I do not do well in the heat anymore whatsoever. And also, I was going to point out that the The currant myrtles are beginning to put their leaves on now. They're no longer naked. They have some beautiful fresh spring color on their foliage. And I have a couple more clematis blooms too. This one is on this little obelisk right here. And then I'll take you around and show you the one on the other side of this building. But first I had to stop at this columbine. I'm so anxious to get out here and get some more stuff done. But I've got to deal with my houseplants today and some other things. So I don't know if I'll get out here for the rest of the day or not. I hope so, but it just may not happen. So we're coming up on this little trellis that has this beautiful blue clematis on it. And I set out some of my little clippings from the window to get them acclimatized or stratified. These tiny little clippings, the rest of the plant had died, and this is right at the top, and so I put it in some rooting powder and put it in this pot, and they've been there now for a couple of weeks, so I think they're gonna try to go and be beautiful for me here. And I actually tried these yesterday, and of course they wilted right down, but they may still be able to take off and go. We'll give them some more of a chance until I make sure what they're going to do. But yesterday was just uncharacteristically hot, and then we're going to have some cold, so we'll see if they'll make it. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.